Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into one of the biggest, most central ideas in Christianity, the Trinity. And look, I get it. Sometimes it can feel like a super confusing brain twister. But what if I told you it's not a math problem? What if it's actually the key to understanding the most powerful force in the entire universe? Love. To get us started, just think about this little story. Some friends giving up their spot at a restaurant. I mean, it's a small thing, right? But it's a real sacrifice. It's that kind of selfless love that puts someone else first. And we've all seen moments like that, or maybe been on the receiving end of one, and they stick with you. And that little story opens up this huge question for us. What if that selfless, giving, other-centered love isn't just a nice thing we humans do sometimes? What if it's actually woven into the fabric of the universe itself? What if that is the very nature of God? Well, that's exactly the door the doctrine of the Trinity opens for us. Okay, but before we can really appreciate the beauty of this idea, we've got to clear away some of the clutter. The Trinity has been misunderstood a lot over the years, so let's just tackle the biggest misconceptions right from the start. You've probably seen this before, right? This idea that Christians believe in some kind of bad math, a logical contradiction where 1 plus 1 plus 1 somehow equals 1. Let me just say it plainly. This is a complete caricature. It's not at all what the doctrine of the Trinity has ever actually taught. So let's get this straight. The Trinity does not mean Christians believe in 3 different gods. That's polytheism. And it also doesn't mean that there's one God who just wears 3 different masks or costumes, kind of like an actor playing different parts. No. The actual teaching is that there is one God, and this single divine being exists as 3 distinct, co-eternal persons. All right, so now that we've cleared up what it's not, let's build a clear picture of what it is. Here's the classic definition. And you gotta notice the 2 key words here, essence and persons. It says God is one in essence and 3 in persons. You see? There's no contradiction because we're talking about 2 totally different things. It's not saying God is 1 and 3 in the exact same way. And this little chart makes it super clear. If you ask the question, what is God? The answer is 1 divine being, 1 essence. But if you ask the question, who is God? The answer is 3 distinct persons, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. It's 1 what and 3 whos. Honestly, if you can get your head around that distinction, you're most of the way there.
So where did this whole idea even come from? Well, it wasn't invented by a bunch of philosophers sitting in a room. The early Christians basically discovered this reality by reading the Bible and just taking seriously what it says about God.
I mean, just take this one famous verse from the Gospel of John. This single sentence presents us with this incredible mystery. The Word, who we learn is Jesus, is described in 2 very specific ways that seem to pull in opposite directions. Let's just break that down for a second. When it says the Word was with God, that shows a distinction. They aren't the same exact person. There's a relationship there. But then, in the very same breath, it says the Word was God. That shows total equality, full deity. The Bible itself forces us to hold both of these truths in our hands at the same time. Jesus is distinct from the Father, and Jesus is fully God. And this biblical mystery is what kicked off a whole historical process. First, the Bible reveals this complex truth. Then, naturally, some false teachings pop up, trying to oversimplify it. Things like modalism or Arianism. And because of those challenges, the church was forced to get really precise and carefully define the truth, leading to things like the Nicene Creed, which simply affirmed what the Bible had been saying all along. Now, here's where this all stops being abstract theology and becomes, well, just incredibly beautiful. Because this doctrine changes everything about how we understand God's most fundamental characteristic, love. The Bible makes this incredibly simple yet profound statement. God is love. Not just that God is loving, or that God does loving things, but that at his very core, he is love. And the Trinity is what makes that statement possible. Think about it. For love to exist, you need more than one person. You need a lover, a beloved, and the love that flows between them. Just wrap your mind around this for a second. Before the universe was ever created, before there were angels or people or anything, God wasn't a lonely, solitary being. For all of eternity past, God has existed as this perfect, dynamic, self-giving community of love. The Father eternally loving the Son eternally loving the Father, all in the bond of the Spirit. Love isn't just something God decided to do one day. It is who God is. So you see, this isn't some dusty, irrelevant doctrine for theologians to argue about in a library. It is the very engine of the Christian faith, and it has real, practical meaning for how we relate to God today. You see it perfectly in the story of salvation. It's a team effort, a Trinitarian work. The Father, out of his incredible love, plans our rescue. The Son, out of his love, accomplishes that rescue for us. And the Holy Spirit, out of his love, applies that salvation right to our hearts, making it real in our lives. It's one unified plan of love, carried out beautifully by 3 persons.
So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. How does everything change, our faith, our prayers, our view of the world, when we stop seeing God as just a solitary, distant ruler up in the sky, and start seeing him as an eternal, vibrant, joyful community of perfect, self-giving love, a love that he actually invites us into? That right there is the beautiful truth of the Trinity.